Welcome to another Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News. It's all brought to you by CG Public Health, cghealth.com online. Today, our guest is Tyler Anderson.
Oof, oof, oof. Hey, good morning.
How about that for an intro, huh? Yeah.
He's just shaking his head.
That's all I can do.
That's right.
Well, it's pretty quiet out of the cemetery. You got to make your own noise sometime.
Right.
Tyler, of course, if you didn't know, of course, he's owner of Roller City, but he also wears another big hat, and it's the Elmood St. Joseph Cemetery. You are are you the manager of that? Is that the deal?
Yeah. Yep. Cemetery manager. Yeah. Yep. I've been in the position for about 3.5 years. It's completely different than anything I thought I would ever do. But with the background in ministry and business, it made actually a lot of sense to do something like this. And it's been a wonderful experience, and truly the definition of every day is a little bit different.
But wait a minute. The whole, you have background in ministry?
Yeah. I have
Really?
a Bible college degree from.
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
No, you didn't know that, Jay? Oh, geez.
Yeah. The funny thing was, I didn't get ordained.
Get some better friends is what you do.
Yeah, Jay. I got ordained a couple of years ago. I've had the Bible college degree for, 15, 16, 14 years now. But 14 years ago, I graduated. But I got ordained the same way that Lady Gaga and Conan O'Brien got ordained, which is some online thing. I did a buddy's wedding a couple of years ago. So for $50, Jay, you can start doing weddings. You got some free time.
Yeah.
I would do that, but I'm too busy running the sound. I don't know.
Well, you're doing 90% of the work, Harry. You just read a script off the last part and get it done. Do the whole thing, one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Might as well take everything from up there.
Right.
Might as well take all the money.
There you go.
There you go. So Tyler, we actually had you on last year talking about what we're going to talk about today, and that is the history walk that's happening on September 30th. It's going to be at Elmood St. Joe Cemetery. Just for a second, the history of history walks.
Yeah.
Hasn't this just kind of come up like in the last 5 or so years, or I don't know if it's been going on for longer than that or what?
Yeah, I think when Randy Opheim was the manager at Elmwood before I took over, he had done it for 9 or 10 years at that point already. So I think we're, minus the COVID year where we skipped, I think this is our 12th or 13th year already doing it. And it's really a highlight of local history. I mean, it's I think a lot of people are always surprised when they go through it. They go, oh, that's why that building's there. Or, oh, that explains why this family is so prominent, or even what headstones and what markers look like the different intricacies that you can see on granite. Or we talk about zinkies quite often. Zinkies are made of white bronze, and if you go up to them, you wouldn't even know they're made of bronze. They look like stone. You just start kind of tapping on it, and you can hear the metal clink. And so we always have to bring that up every year. They're fascinating. There's so much thought that has gone into those. Just the design side of it, it's an amazing. Those are amazing pieces. We have quite a few
designer tombstones.
Yeah, they were. So that I would say predominantly these white bronze. We call them zinkies, or the nickname. They were around from early 1900s period. It'd be 1900-ish to 1930, 1940. A lot of times you could buy them from a catalog, almost like a Montgomery Ward catalog of sorts. But there's a lot of customization you could do with it. And now you couldn't hardly buy any sort of a bronze headstone. There's just no way. I mean, the price has gone so high. But yeah, one of the more interesting side points in that is because it's made of steel, it's put together, kind of welded together in different parts, and there's different compartments there that you can kind of customize as you'd like to when you were making these. And then these little rosettes, or these screws that you can unscrew. And during the Prohibition era, they were actually building shelves inside of these hollow headstones and putting hooch in there or liquor, and they'd switch it out for money. So you throw some cash in there, and then a day later, someone would sneak into the cemetery, open it up, put some hooch in there for you. So
not like doing it the wide open.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of things like that you just don't realize until you get into the cemetery. Well, just like most areas of life, right? Until you slow down and actually
Mhm.
process what's in front of you, you can see a lot of history and a lot of interesting things and a lot of intentionality that goes into those types of deals.
What is the oldest tombstone you have there? Does it go back to like 1800s? Is it
Yeah, it'd be at some point in the late 1860s, 1870s, and it's still in pretty good shape.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I think if you made a list of iconic last names throughout the years, our cemetery, especially the local last names side of things. I mean, the McKnighters are out there. A lot of the people that were connected with the Rock Crest, Rock Glen area, most of those families are out here. Meredith Wilson, of course, is out here at the cemetery, and so there's a lot of rich history. But this year's feature, we're doing unmarked graves and unexpected endings.
Yeah, explain that.
So it too often. It's really easy to just highlight the big and fun stories, right? Like who doesn't want to hear about and highlight Meredith Wilson or
Right.
Joshua Nelson, who's out there, is just beautiful. It's the Nelson Mausoleum. It looks exactly like the house that he built in Rock Crest, Rock Glen. His wife had died, I think, less than 2 years after they had built this beautiful house, and so they did a replica essentially of this house or a version of that house out at the cemetery. And so there's some iconic pieces that we like to highlight, but too often there's a lot of people that have unexpected endings and unmarked graves. What I guess what we mean by that is a lot of times there's immigrants that came over and they just couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford a grave, and so a lot of times their story's not even thought of, let alone told.
Wow.
And then the unexpected endings, we've got a lot of folks that it's just always interesting to hear about people's stories, but also we've got countless stories of people that have made it to this area, from whether they were pioneering over here or they were immigrants or moved the area for a better shot at life. And then, they're grinding and working hard at all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, life just hits them. It's like, man, life hit them hard their whole life. And then they died unexpectedly. And so it's kind of a celebration of the grit of the American, the American dream, and thinking through, wow, like what it actually took to get to this point where we are now, right?
So Tyler, you have the names and some of the history of these people, even though it's an unmarked grave because they couldn't afford, right?
Yeah. So our cemetery board president, Karen Byrne, she is amazing at discovering little nuanced stories like this, and she can back it up with facts. She looks at things like the census and historical documents through the courthouse and through local city documents. She's an expert at really digging that stuff up, and so we're fortunate to have her. And we would stand firm on these stories. These aren't just what ifs. We're not filling in a lot of gray area. There's a lot of clear facts that she's discovered, and so we're featuring a lot of surprise stories, I would say, this year, more so than kind of the icons throughout Mason City's rich history.
This history walk is coming up September 30th, and how do you get tickets and how much are they?
Yeah, so we did a format change a few years ago. We were doing a night event seated from a stage. We worked with Don and Dennis Higgins. Shout out to those guys. They're amazing. But this year we're simplifying it immensely. We've had a lot of volunteers that are no longer able to help us, as well as just trying to clean up the format a little bit. And so we're just doing a traditional walk. It's either 1 p.m., 2:30 p.m., or 4 p.m. Just $10 a person. All three of the time frames are the exact same tour. We've had a lot of people ask about that. In the past, we've done a chili supper and then an evening stroll. The evening stroll got challenging just because you've got a lot of little headstones people are walking through in the dark of night, and we're tripping and things along those lines. And then the chili supper just became cost prohibitive for us to keep doing that. Even though it's fun, but it was kind of a loss leader for us.
And speaking of money, all the money that you guys raise goes to benefit all of the landmarks.
Yeah. So we've actually, it's pretty cool. So something we're starting to earmark these funds towards. There's a gentleman out of southern Missouri that has this really unique rig that he actually can come into cemeteries and take these large ones that are really teeter-tottering, and lift them in the air without causing any damage, level them out and make them completely like perfect again, which is really cool. So it's about somewhere between $150 to $200 per stone is all too. So it's very cost effective. It's just something that we need to get ahead of, because not only to preserve the history, but just from even an operational standpoint, it gets pretty expensive and pretty challenging to restore and try to upkeep on these stones. It's a lot easier to do so when they're upright, like they're meant to be, instead of trying, letting them fall over, which is not what we want to do at all. But we don't have the tools or the capacity to do so many of those. Yeah.
As far as the tickets go, you said you can get them at the cemetery office, of course. And of course, those of you that are watching this, of course, there's a scroller going on. If you're listening to this, if there is a Facebook event, by the way, and really all I did to make it real simple is search for Elmood St. Joseph Cemetery, and right there is your history walk event right there. But when you do buy tickets, so are you buying tickets for whatever walk you can get, or for the 1, the 2:30 or 4, or do you just buy a ticket and then you just have to go with the flow, I guess?
Yeah. So each of the time slots are ticketed. So you would have to, you can get tickets either at the cemetery office, or you can get them at Hy-Vee East or West. If you go up to the customer service area, they've got them up there as well. You just go up to, come to the office. We're open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Otherwise, whenever Hy-Vee's open, you can swing up there as well. Just let them know, hey, I want 4 for the 2:30 show, or 2 for the 4 o'clock show, or whatever. Yeah.
What's a sellout, if there is such a thing, I guess?
Yeah. So we've got 2 certified tour guides, certified through the state of Iowa. So it's not just the thrown together thing. The tour lasts it's about right at 90 minutes. I mean, it's the full 90-minute time.
Wow.
It's a walking tour. We start inside the Monroe entrance. We've got our big cemetery tent will be out there, so it'll be real easy to find one. Clear signage out there. The walk's a little over a mile long, so it's not too terribly long either. Mostly on flat surfaces, so it's a really manageable tour for those that want to be careful when they're walking around. So when it comes to capacity, each tour guide can take between 30 and 35 people at the most, because you don't want to have too many where they can't hear the tour. And we want to make it a little more intimate too. So it's not designed to be we're not trying to fill a stadium, so to speak. It's more of an intimate storytelling feel. And both of the tour guides are well versed in the history, to where they can actually ask questions and answer questions, which is really neat. It's fun to have people start connecting those dots along the tour and go, oh, okay. So what about this? And they, it's very interactive and very intimate in terms of the setting.
You should have a quiz at the end.
Yeah.
Test or something like that.
Yeah. Something we kicked around.
Learning, so it's cool. Just like a history test. Why not?
Yeah.
You could win a headstone.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we thought about, actually, Jay, we thought about maybe buying some sort of a headstone with part of the funds, just because we have some unmarked grave stories that we are telling.
Yeah.
How cool would that be to kind of, and maybe we'll implement that in the future, but we just kind of ran out of time. But one thought was to actually have people vote for their favorite story of an unmarked grave, and actually buy a headstone for that grave. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So that's in the works possibly too. We'll kind of see how things pan out and see what the interest is there.
Something maybe the public doesn't know, but how are you funded? I mean, you have so many paid employees, of course. You're a manager, but I mean, you apply for grants and things like that, or what?
Yeah, so we are a municipal cemetery, so we're funded partially by the city, by the property taxes, and it's about half that, and then half is from just our operational income, for burials and selling plots and vases and things of that nature.
Tyler, have you ever had like a strange request of somebody that's having like a ceremony out there?
Yeah, all the time.
Have you? And because like my father-in-law,
consider what's strange. What?
Oh man, there's a range. I mean, I tell people that when someone says, "Oh, see," because my friends will come up to me, or someone that hears I'm a cemetery manager, they're like, "So what do you manage a cemetery? What do you do all day? Do you mow?" I said, "A little bit." "Well, do you sell plots?" "Yeah, a little bit." But it's I always tell people I'm I'm also kind of part Jerry Springer, because there's just some situations that come up out there where, death's a pretty final thing. And so we get a lot of people that have varying requests for the same individual. That's where the challenge lies, discovering who has the rights to make their claim on the situation.
What was your thing, Jay? What was your thing?
Well, like during the ceremony, like my father-in-law was like, he was adamant that, when we were at the cemetery, I had to bring out speakers so I could play Frank Sinatra. I did it my way.
Okay. Yeah.
You ever had something like that before?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have. So when I started 3.5 years ago, it was pretty close to like 60% traditional casket and 40% like cremation. And now, even just in the last few years, and I think COVID has a lot to do with this, of course, because you couldn't meet and get together, gather for burial. But that, amongst other factors, the cost is a lot cheaper to do cremation overall. We're seeing about a 2-to-1 cremation over traditional now. So it's shifting 60-40 to about 66 to 70%, depending on the time of year, for cremation. So we've seen a lot of creative things within the cremation world. We just buried someone a few weeks ago that had a golf ball shaped urn. And so you put the cremation in the middle and drop it in. We've had someone that was a passionate fisherman that bought a little bait tackle, and they put the just right there. So that's definitely it's trending that way. Everyone wants their little personal on things. I know when my dad passed 3.5 years ago, so I started a week late at this job because my dad passed. He diehard Vikings fan. He took me to my first ever game in '98, and purple. He bled purple.
Oh, that was a good year.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. So anyway, when he passed, he was single. So my sister and I had to figure out what to do with his burial, and so we got him a jet black casket because he did the haunted hike for 15 plus years of Clear Lake, and then his concrete vault for the casket was purple, bright Vikings purple on the outside and gold on the inside. And
man,
it was quite the sight. And my dad was not one to hide away from the flashing lights, so it fit his personality quite a bit. Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody do that though? Want to have music out there? I mean, I didn't know how loud to turn it up because I didn't want to wake anybody. But
you're gonna wake up.
Yeah. So one of the first times I went out and showed people plots, and now 3.5 years in, I'm more comfortable saying, it's always the first couple of times it was kind of challenging looking at someone in the face and saying, hey, so when you die, are you thinking traditional or cremation? Like now it's just kind of something I do every day. But at the time it was, a little bit different. And I'll never forget this couple. They came out and they said, hey, we want to, I need to bury my mom. We want to get plots. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. They're like, oh, she died 7 years ago. Don't worry about it. Like they were in good spirits about it. And we get out there, the same couple, we get out there, and it's so funny. I'll never forget it. This gal was just kind of a free spirit, a gypsy of sorts. Just really just like go with the flow, where her husband was very, regimented, and it was just quite the fun couple to be around. And they were both really wonderful people. And this woman gets out here and she goes, I think I want to be here. So, okay, what strikes you as something that you like about this area? And she's like, these just feel like really good spiritual homies to live forever with. I'm like, okay.
Spiritual homies?
Spiritual homies was the word, the exact quote.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's been a joy to serve people in their time of need for sure. And we get anything from the deer ate my flowers. What do I do? To being the third or fourth person in the room after a really difficult situation happens. And so to be fully present with people, it's challenging. Sometimes it's hard not to take that home, but overall it's been incredibly rewarding. To be a stable person and someone just to lend an ear in a time of need. It's been really rewarding.
It's the Elmood St. Joseph Cemetery History Walk. It's on September 30th. Get your tickets now at Hy-Vee East or West, or right at the cemetery office is fine. And it's $10 per person. at 1, 2:30, or 4. I don't know what sells out faster, but just pick your time and get your ticket then right away.
Yeah. Normally the later ones go a little bit faster.
Okay, sure. All right.
I know a lot of people, you can say the cemetery office, which is 1224 South Washington, but I know some people tell that people need landmarks.
Yes.
What's around it?
Yeah. So it's funny if you Google that and you go right to 1224 South Washington, you'll go to the side street and you'll see our little building that looks like a house. They'll go, I got to go where?
Yeah.
So our recommendation is just come in off the federal entrance. Right into it's kind of by 13th or 14th and Federal, something like that, right across from the new signs is right there, and Haas Chiropractic right across the road. You just head in there, stay on the right hand side. We're about a block and a half in. We've got some History Walk signs on the road now too that just got up a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jay, take us out of here. This has been great. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Has been a lot of fun. Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News brought to you by CG Public Health. Check them out at cghealth.com. Again, Tyler, thank you so much for being a part of it today.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.